This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
And coming up next, right here on the CBS Evening News, the food Americans throw out could feed New York City for an entire year. These volunteers are saving as much of it as they can. World hunger is only getting worse, and the United Nations hopes to focus attention on it this weekend at a summit in Rome. The UN says more than 1 billion people don't know where their next meal will come from. That's 1 in every 6 men, women, and children. But here in the U.S., Seth Doan tells us one solution is to rescue food that often ends up in the dumpster.
Strawberries look good.
Breakfast, at least, is one less burden for Carol and Dan Zimney. After Carol lost her customer service job back in January, and 3 months later, Dan lost his auto machinist job too.
You know, we put a lot of trust in God, but then you get scared too. We're human. And that side of us says, you know, what are we going to do?
Thankfully, how they'll afford groceries is answered with donated food.
My wife and I have, like I say, you can tell, we haven't, gone hungry.
But the preparation behind Carol and Dan's meal was a lot more involved than you might think. In fact, it all would have been trash just one day before. If not for ForgottenHarvest.
Anybody with donations, please bring them to the back.
A nonprofit group that crisscrosses Detroit in 21 refrigerated trucks. They're on a daily mission to rescue some of the food that'd otherwise be thrown out by grocery stores, restaurants, and even stadiums. They say the average grocery store can toss out as much as 1,200 pounds of food a day.
It's all about just in time rescuing this food because it's all highly perishable. It has to be rescued today and distributed today.
Susan Goodell runs the operation, which salvaged more than 12 million meals last year.
The food is perfectly good, it's highly nutritious, but for one reason or another, it's just not saleable.
You got it, Steve? From oddly shaped veggies to meat or milk at its sell-by date, it's sorted and shipped out to more than 150 Detroit area pantries and soup kitchens. It's a staggering number. More than 96 billion pounds of food goes to waste every year in the United States. That's more than 1/4 of all food available in this country. If just 10% of that wasted food could be recovered, it'd feed everyone in New York City 3 meals a day for an entire year.
Is 1, 1, and 1?
On this day, some of what's rescued winds up at Open Door Ministry, where Carol and Dan Zimney volunteer.
When it's reversed, when you're the one that needs the handout, it's a little harder.
While the work doesn't pay, it does put food on the table.
It's very healthy food, it's good food, and it's things that we wouldn't have money to buy.
Thank you, Lord, for this.
From what would have been waste,
Amen,
comes a recipe for relief. Seth Doan, CBS News, Detroit.